fun video for backwoods, inspired by the comment you made about getting a 511 vest to begin concealed carrying. Brings me back, made me think, maybe just this morning. When I turned 21, the first thing I did after tying one on and getting drunk on a fucking Wednesday only to go to work on the next day was buying a Glock 21. I wanted a 1911, and I go to the gun store, which here in Florida, hardware stores can occasionally double as gun stores. And somehow, somewhere at that counter, I went from going my whole childhood life of wanting a Colt 1911 to having this clown behind the counter talk me into a double stack Glock 21 chambered in .45 ACP. I don't want to reveal too much about what year it was, but I feel like the 21 hadn't been out like all that long. But gun store counter guys, you get like back then you'd get like pro 1911 guys, pro Wonder 9 guys. Needless to say, I got talked into it. Something along the lines of the Colt was twice the price of the Glock, and the Glock carried twice as many bullets. Forget the fact that up to that point, I had never really had much experience with semi-automatic pistols. And further forget the fact that if you've ever handled the full-size Glocks, I mean, it happens to any of them, from the 17, like what I have now, all the way to 21, which in the grip, carries a fucking, what is the best term I like, carries a bucket of bullets. The thing about a Glock is the grip frame is so lightweight that as you're depleting the ammunition, it changes the balance of the firearm. Where in a 19 or a 17 doesn't affect you much because it has less recoil, but 21, while it's not like crazy recoil, it's very poppy. A 45 ACP is a very poppy weapon. I don't know how to put it better. In the way that I shoot, if I'm in a 45 caliber or a 40 caliber, I do better with a heavier firearm. Needless to say, got talked into the Glock 21, but that's not the point. The point is, my loving father, who, as a proper boomer, expresses his love in funny ways, signs both of us up to a concealed carry / pistol course. So I'm 21, I'm 50 now, so do the math on how long I've been carrying. Fun fact on that course is one of my high school teachers was one of the instructors. So it was a former sheriff of the county, along with, maybe he was under sheriff, along with my high school art teacher. And my high school art teacher had been a lifelong, this is another thing you'll find, had been a lifelong 44 Magnum shooter. And he said something that stuck with me for the longest time with regards to pistol and rifle calibers. He was probably my age at the time, but he was actually dealing with issues with his wrist and joints from always shooting full power 44. And he brought that up, the considerations to make as a long-term shooter. Now, some old fool, pardon me for judging, some old fool in the front row wanted to talk about how effective his 32 ACP and some sort of silver line hollow point or whatever, regardless of what the former undersheriff told him about ballistic expansion and everything else. You couldn't talk sense to him, essentially. And 32, 380, your problem with hollow points with those smaller calibers is that you're not going to get expansion. And say you do get expansion, the math of that projectile messes up penetration. And penetration is very important. Over penetration is important too, but when you're running a 32 or a 380, you got to make it through the vitals, something in the fatal T. But there was no talking sense to this guy. He wanted to have his little 32, wanted to put it in his pocket and rock on, man. Back then too, and to date myself some, small of the back was huge. You'd run like a reverse grip and have your heater in the small of your back. Later courses that I've been through got away from the small of the back, and I always carry close to the I've got different positions, much to my best friend's dismay, who has a lot more firearms experience than I do. But I'll move the firearm around, and it's easy for me to be mindful of where it is so far. I mean, I've only had a super stressed situation twice, and I'll admit, my super stressed situation twice that I've had, where I went for the firearm, I went for a specific position that luckily always had it. Now, I've never shot at anyone, and I've never broke leather, so to speak, in anger. But my most is primarily like 3 to 4 o'clock, and I'm able to do that being a larger guy. But the type of firearm I'm able to use in the 3 o'clock position and the type of firearm other people are able to use in the 3 o'clock position is very contingent on your size. If in my one video about permissible environments means anything, I would not wear a 511 brand vest with the way that I personally carry. I don't want to look like anything in particular. I'd prefer to be the gray man. My ultimate rig, and I'll do this when I go to Orlando, is freaking out of style khaki cargo shorts, a loose fitting button down, heavier cloth, to allow it to drape over whatever lumps and bumps I have. Second magazine in the left cargo, with like an in pocket sort of holster to allow it to stay oriented. Light on the same side, and knife is tricky. I'll tell you something about knife and concealed carry. I'll tell you an anecdote. Maybe it's a made-up story. A guy was at Disney Springs, which is over here, just a little bit east of me, Orlando. Disney World has like this little shopping extravaganza, and they have a flat out standing no firearm policy at Disney World. But unlike when you go into the proper theme park, Disney Springs is more like a little open shopping mall. So you're not necessarily getting called out, which this friend of mine tends to get called out quite a bit and gets special treatment. probably because of his blue eyes and tall stature. You just smell hero wannabe on his ass. So anyway, this guy randomly, much to his wife's dismay, gets pulled aside. And the security person, plainclothes security person, has a uniformed law enforcement person along with them at this time, and is informed that a knife is not permitted in the area. The pocket clip on the right pocket is a giveaway. And I said, no problem. I'll go ahead and go back to my, I'm staying at the resort. His friend's staying at the resort, and I'm happy to bring it back. Man, his wife was so pissed. And I said, listen, let me do you a favor. He's like, what's that? I'm like, you want to see my zero? I'm like, yeah. What, and I kind of lift a little bit, and my belly band carry piece is there, and you couldn't tell because I had the firearm deep underneath the belt line. Something that be absolutely ridiculous to try to get to in any sort of quick draw kind of thing. But the strategy is to get family and me to safety. And if by some reason, the concealment, once concealment is achieved or cover is achieved, then, perhaps try to fish that son of a bitch out. I don't know how well that theory will play out. Like, well, thank you. And anyway, they appreciated me revealing that particular situation, and probably me being a total crazy asshole and even doing that. I was then escorted back to the resort room, to which I was escorted to my car, where, other things were shown and revealed and whichever, and then escorted back to the hotel where these other items were secured by the hotel itself and locked in a safe, all that good shit. Needless to say, wife was super duper pissed. Learned a lot that day. Probably still learn a lot. What is my point? My point is, those guys were fucking around with me instead of able to do their job. So I sort of am mindful of it, and mindful of like pocket clips and things that will kind of gain the attention of what these people are sometimes trained to look for. So even my flashlight, like this pen light that's able to shoot a beam, it has a pocket clip. So if I think I'm going to be in a situation to where those things will be observed, I'll actually pull the pocket clip, whether it's the knife or the light, and actually drop it in the pocket. So I would want to discourage you from the vest of any sort. It's an old-timey trick to rock a vest. There's this old trope about the first people to get a couple rounds in the dome are the guys dressed up like late 80s photographers wearing their vests with all the pockets. Anyway, apologies for my saber rattling, and spoiler alert, and I think you've seen it. I don't know necessarily about this channel, but the other channel. Spoiler alert, I've lived the dream of the 1911, and it's everything I thought it would be. It's still my favorite firearm, and it's my favorite firearm that my friends like me having, so they can pick on me about it. I got more concealed carry stories. Stay tuned, or let me know if you're interested in them. All right, Backwoods. Hope you're feeling good. Thanks for sharing the videos you share, and awesome and inspiring the stuff you've shared lately. All right. Take it easy.